This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Chris Cantrell. Thanks for joining.
Well, here we are. We're finally back in the old podcast room. It's been a minute. Chris was gone to Africa. Me and Jim were off and gone trying to fill some tags, and we also did some fishing along the way. And man, it's been a very eventful couple of weeks.
Eventful September.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, super.
Yeah. The fun has only just begun.
Mm-hmm. We started with Chris left end of August. I went on a trip end of August. You went first week of September.
Yeah, I went a couple weekends.
And so we've been just basically going nonstop. That's why we haven't really put any podcasts together.
Yeah, I think it was the last 3 weekends I was gone doing something, and then Chris was gone 3 weeks.
Yep.
Don't tell my wife that.
Oh, I'm sure she knows.
Yeah, so I left the 28th, I think, with my dad for South Africa. And then you left.
Like day after or 2 days after or something like that.
And you went where?
We went up into a wilderness area on a bear hunt, me and Matt. So we hiked in. Yeah, old Hartsock. We hiked in, spent almost 5 days, 4.5 days.
You guys went and chased after that great big bear that me and Matt saw earlier in the.
No, we didn't go up there. We went to a different spot.
Oh.
This spot was very productive. We saw a lot of bears. Saw a lot of guys. There was apparently the backcountry hunting has become more popular as time's gone on here, and we ran into a ton of guys. We even had guys shoot a bear right in front of us.
Really?
Oh,
we were working.
This was
on.
The most recent one you went.
Yeah,
on,
this
right?
is the most recent one, not the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Shut my mouth. Tell the story.
But yeah, so we went in there for 4 days, and we did the whole backpacking thing, and we kind of stayed pretty mobile and had a lot of fun. Saw a lot of bears. Not every bear you can get on, though. So
you and Matt, and those of you who don't know Matt, cut off sleeves. I work out and hike 6,000 miles an hour. I'm guessing it wasn't like out and back to the truck.
Oh, no. It was, we hiked in and we stayed in for almost 5 days.
So you had all your gear.
Yep.
Tent. Sleeping bag.
Packed it all
food.
in.
Packed everything in. We packed in.
Stove, everything.
What I kind of messed up on is I kind of assumed that we would come back to the truck at a point and probably relocate to another spot.
Right.
And so I brought in like 4 days or 3.5 days worth of food. So by the last day, it was like, man, I got like granola left and I got like a couple little snacks, and I'm like, dang it, I did it again.
Right.
And
you can never bring too much food. Didn't you learn that the last
I
time?
did.
Jim?
And I thought that I brought enough for the time I was going to be in there, but then we ended up staying in the whole time because we were chasing bears all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on them constantly. And, we had some unfortunate things happen. I shot a bear and we did not find it, which sucked.
Happens all the time with bears.
It was just weird because it was like it was a good shot. It seemed like a good shot, and there was just no blood whatsoever, no blood. And then where he rolled into was a giant avalanche chute, and we don't know what direction, because when he rolled, like, we lost track of him. And, like, I don't know if he caught himself and went to one side or the other of the avalanche chute. And with no blood, I mean, you can guesstimate, but when it's straight down,
right,
it's not like you can just run grids all over the place. You know, you're barely getting up and down. And so it was a bummer. And then we had a couple other blown opportunities that we could have capitalized on, and we didn't. Had one really, really good bear that was, it was a really nice bear, and it was a chocolate too, which color phase in the area we were hunting was pretty rare. And then we ended up having a bear shot right in front of us. We were working a bear, moving in for a shot, and then had a guy shoot it right in front of us, which, congratulations to that guy. I'm sure he might listen to the podcast, because I think he started following us after we talked to him. But yeah, he made a good shot on this bear, and we started hearing the death moan because it was that close.
Really?
It was like, when I look over at Matt, like, did that just happen? And he's like, and then the bear's like, doing the death mode. I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh.
Well, good shot, guy.
Yeah,
You know?
like, and he shot from the top and was shooting down, and it was like a 300-yard shot.
Oh, okay.
And or at least what I thought it was a 300-yard shot. And
Right.
so we didn't get that bear either, but then we had another bear that got shot from underneath us too, and it was just like, you know, you don't expect to have to deal with like competition in backcountry
In bear season too.
in bear season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, man, there was a lot of bear hunters up there. There was a lot of hikers too, like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
hikers.
Yeah, you're not going to go in the backcountry and not see hikers.
It's become so popular. Backpacking is super popular now.
Right.
Apparently, running trails.
Oh, trail
is
running. Oh, yeah.
very popular now.
Thanks, David Goggins.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cam Haynes.
Yeah. You jerks. JK. LOL. Love you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, but I mean, overall, it was a great trip. I think we saw 9 bears in
Holy cow.
that time.
Really?
Yeah. If we had the old long shooter Chris, we could have killed probably a handful more. But
I like ripping rounds. I will tell you, the most hesitant animal long range is probably bears for me. Just because, and I'm preaching to the choir here. It's like Doug and I are like on the lower end of the food chain when it comes to bears, because James has killed a lot of bears, probably more bears than I mean. When I rank it, it's like Jim Shockey, James, right? James killed that many bears. He's killed a lot of bears. So I feel like the amount of bears that Doug and I have killed, like the bears that I shoot, I can honestly say I remember every bear that I've shot, and I've never followed a blood trail one time. Not one time. Spring, I've shot a bunch of spring bears, and I've shot a bunch of fall bears, and I've never followed a blood trail, which is soul crushing.
Yeah.
But they're hairy and they're fat, right? And so that bullet goes in, even if you get a through and through, it doesn't matter, because that fat, number one, just closes that hole. Yep. And then they got that long hair.
Yeah, that fur.
And then what are you going to do? You know,
it's incredible how little blood there is.
It's tiny, tiny amounts of blood.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you blow a leg off, I think if you hit them like anywhere in the body cavity,
you'd have to hit them low on the cavity.
Super low, right? You have to have like an open wound. You can't have a through and through, because otherwise it just sealed, that fat will seal it up. I feel like, obviously, you know, I haven't killed a million bears, but
they will bleed from time to time. But like you said, it's a majority of the time they do not bleed.
Yeah.
I mean, even the one that we shot this spring, that bear didn't bleed.
Or they'll bleed and they'll close up eventually.
Yeah, they'll kind of seal up and they peter out, and you know, it's like, I don't know if it's the fat or if it's the hair
then you're
or whatever.
Scratching your head, going, okay, now what? After you just tracked a bear for about
They're
a
also
mile.
very tough. So like, you might think you put a good, like, for some reason, some of the bears that I've trailed, like, actually had a blood trail and followed, ended up not finding, and then those bears live. Because there was one bear I shot with a bow, and I followed his trail for like a mile, and it was like hands and knees, you know, like like pick it up, and then it'd bleed really good. And you go, oh wow, this is okay, we're gonna find it, and then it peters out again, and then you like doing the whole circle and around trying to pick up blood, and then you pick up a little bit of blood, but then that bear lived because I had it on camera 3 days later afterwards, and it had a mark on it, kind of like, you know, when Doug shot that blacktail.
His deer,
Just it healed up, and from the amount of blood that it lost, though, it was shocking that bear lived. But they are tough animals.
Dude, they're so tough.
They're extremely tough.
So you got to put a good shot on, and you know, I mean, who knows? Maybe the bear I shot, maybe it rolled up and started rolling, and maybe it wasn't as great of a shot as I thought, and maybe it just rolled and then caught its legs and then wandered off, and it's still living on the mountain. I don't know.
It's hard to tell, I think, too, like, to most hunters, like, because I think in general, like, if we're talking to Washington hunters, like, when you shoot a deer or an elk, like, it's very apparent what you're shooting at. Like, I can tell exactly where the heart is.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell where the lungs are. I know where the front shoulder is. I know where the scapula is at. I know where the front leg. And a bear's just this big blob of...
It's
black.
Yeah, to ball, basically,
You know?
most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that is, your crosshairs are black, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you don't have, a fire dot or illuminated reticles, who's to tell really exactly where you're aiming?
Well, I had no excuse. I had illuminated reticle.
And not to hijack that, Doug, but I had that new VX6 illuminated reticle for my Africa hunt, and I thought, it's cool, right? And I used that thing probably a dozen times while I was over there. Because it wasn't a fire dot, it was a full illuminated reticle, and I could turn it up and turn it down. And there was a bunch of times where I hunted bush pig at night. I don't want to give it away, but at the same time, that the VX6, I had the HD 4-24 by 52, I think is what the scope I had with the lighted TMOA, bro.
It's a game changer for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially for late night.
Well, there's no way I would have killed some of the critters I killed, because in South Africa you can hunt at night. Mm-hmm. And like you're saying, like bear and hunting it. I mean, if you're in South Africa, obviously some of the stuff here you can hunt at night here. Some of the things, but obviously not
like
big game. Like coyotes and stuff like that.
bobcat.
But sorry, I didn't mean to hijack that. But I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the shot that I put on was like, it was almost 300 yards,
right?
And it was steep downhill,
right?
And it was one of those shots like bear's working in this huckleberry patch, and he's working. You're seeing bits and pieces, right?
Right.
He's working. You see a head pop up every once in a while, and you're like, I'm not gonna take a head shot at 300 yards. I mean, there was a couple times where Matt was like, I was waiting for you to shoot. I'm like, a headshot? I'm like, no. And so
classic me.
I was like, I was set on. I was set on. I was following the bear as it worked, and I was set on as soon as that bear makes one move into an open position and isn't moving, I'm shooting.
Right.
And so it was like, bear pops out, like I don't know what it was standing on, but it kind of like stepped up, and it was just like immediate, like.
Right.
And so it's not like I had a long amount of time to like pick my spot. It was like, okay, I'm putting it on the shoulder. Boom. That's it. And
they never stand still, by the way.
Especially not when this time of year.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's the most frustrating animal to
They
hunt.
move constantly.
All the time.
Yeah. And you're getting set for a shot, they move. You see them come through an opening, they move.
Yeah.
It's like...
So it makes it hard to move on them. Because as soon as you lose sight of them, you don't know where they go.
Oh, you lose sight and you're never, it's like
you're
never going to
You dip
get 'em
into
again.
a spot where you lose track of them and you lose sight.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times that's the last time you see
it's
them.
a wild goose chase after that.
I have a good Africa story about that too. I'm not going to let it go, but
why not do it now?
My scope. You should I? No.
Yeah, let it.
I was going to do it day by. Okay, I'll do it. I was going to do it day by day.
We can come back to some other
Tip
stuff
of the
later.
tongue, the teeth, the lips there, Chris.
Okay, real quick. One quick Africa story. It's not going to be quick.
It's not.
It's okay.
I'm not a
If
quick.
you know how Chris tells stories, it's not going to be a quick.
It's not going to be. Ask my wife. I'm a liar. It's not going to be quick. So we're hunting Inyala, right?
Okay.
So Inyala is like almost elk size, a little bit smaller, right? Like maybe halfway between a deer and an elk, big elk.
Okay.
So it's
Not as big as an eland, but not as big as small as like a wildebeest.
Its horns are like there's multiple types. There's ringed horned animals, right? And this one looks like I would best describe it as like wrought iron, right? So like twisted wrought iron.
Okay.
And really super cool animal, and very, very tough to hunt in the area that we're hunting because it's like very thick brush, and the trees are like 12 feet tall max.
Okay. Max,
right? Not tall at all. Acacia trees, short trees, lots of brush. So they can disappear, and there's like little trails, and there's open bits through it, and everything has thorns. Whether it's like a Vaha Bikibuim, which you guys will hear more about, which is the most horrible tree on the planet. It literally, the thorns look like cat claws.
Really?
Tears the shit out of you. The shit, right? I'll show you guys.
Obviously, you had some experience.
Oh
with
my
this
god, dude! I left a lot of blood and pieces of flesh and coat in South Africa.
Sounds like hunting in the Cascades.
Oh my God, it was horrible. So we're
Devil's Club.
Yeah.
we're hunting these Inyala, right? It's like an hour and a half drive to hunt this piece. It's kind of like they don't have mountains there where I'm hunting, but like let's call it like mountains, right? Not really. So we'd get up on top, and then we glass this big long open, probably let's say 20,000 acres, right? Size wise, say 20,000 acres is what we're hunting, and we dumped a guy off way up the road on the hill, and he comes around the tracker, right? Mm-hmm. Which his name was Richard. At least that's what he told us his name was. His name's not Richard. He's a great dude. So Richard's up on the hill. We drive like 45 minutes around this ranch and up over the top of this little deal and back down. Hey, Richard, you see anything? Oh, yeah, I see stuff over there. But he's looking down over here. He's probably a mile this way. And so we're trying to see what he's seeing, but you can't see because everything's that tall, right? Let's say everything's like 8 to 12 feet, roughly. And it's thick. Super tough hunting. So we hunt all day, one day, nothing. We come again, and we're chasing around the whole time because you see like bears. Like you see a flash of a bear here, a flash of a bear there. And that's how hunting Inyala is, because you see a flash. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go get on that. No, you're not. As soon as you move, that's it, right?
Yeah,
they're gone. Yeah. So even though they're a big animal, it's just poof, they disappear into like the ether. So we're super frustrating. My dad's just like, oh God, Chris, like, because they'd be like, oh, there they are, and you'd pull up your gun, and they'd be like, the back one, and you'd pull up, and you're like at 500 yards, And I'm like, I'm not just ripping rounds at 500 yards. I'm like, oh, I got to check my dope. What elevation am I at? I'm looking at my chart. So
you're not trying to wound no.
It was so frustrating. So finally, Richard's up on the hill over here. We come around. We see some Inyala. They piss off, and we can't get on them. We come around, and there's another road that comes like back up and around. Well, they run and I think they're Angola, whatever type of sheep, like the hair on the sheep is. Itty bitty, the tiniest little sheep. Like, dude, like size of a small dog. Like, not big. And there's these cute little things, and they're running around all over the place, right? So there's a guy up there herding these sheep on this farm. Yeah. And you can hear him screaming, and he's yelling, and I'm like, dude, tell that guy, like, what the hell? Like, we're trying to like chase these critters around. Yeah. So we drive in my PH, the professional hunter, stops the truck. We're in his Land Cruiser, stops it in the middle of the road, and the roads are like this, So we stop and we get out. And we're like, oh, here we go again. You got to walk through the brush, get the shit tore out of you, So you're walking across, and then the radio goes off, and you hear Richard, and he's like, and they're speaking Afrikaans, and I speak like 1/100th of Afrikaans. So I'm like, okay, I heard right, and I heard road. And so next thing you know, my PH is like, let's go. And so I'm like running behind him through the bush, and like same thing, like it's grabbing your coat and your face, and it tears my hat off. And then we get there, and we get to this little clearing, and there's a power line that goes through this property. And we looked on the power line, and there's nothing there. And I hear him, my PH Shawl, he's talking on the phone. Charles is his name, but it's pronounced Shawl, for you people at home. And he's like, he's talking, and he says some swear words in Afrikaans, which I won't say. And and I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, oh, there was a freaking giant Inyala right in the road, and here we are, and there's no Inyala. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. What do we do now? And he's like, I don't know, and like, Shaw's a big guy, by the way. He's bigger than me. Like, and I'm just like, I'll just do whatever you tell me to do. I don't want to, piss off the 6'6" giant African guy, you know? And so we're standing there, and I'm like, well, let's just glass, right? And so I pull up the binos, and we're looking, and we're kind of farting around, and I glass to the left, and I see this gigantic Inyala just standing like in it, but it's like bears, right? You see, like, you never see a whole bear. Right. Unless it's on this like tiny little blueberry hillside. Right. You see like a portion of the bear. 90% of the, I feel like,
Most of the time.
You're
Most
right.
of the time you see like a little head.
Yeah.
You see an ear.
And there's
You're
an
lucky.
Inyala classic, like just staring right at me. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a big bull. And he's like, what? And I'm like, there's a bull. There's a big Inyala right there. And he's like, where? I'm like, in the like classic,
in the bushes.
In the bush. He's in the bushes. It's a green. There's some green. It's green. There's a bush. It's green. And he's just like, and I can hear his frustration as he just, and he like snorts and like walks behind me and sees where I got the old BX4 HDs on me, right?
Yeah.
The old loopholes, and because I'm ranging it, and he goes, "How far is it?" Which is a nice part about having range finding binos, because then he knows how far I'm looking, and I'm like, it's 620 yards or something. He goes, "Okay," and he looks behind me and he goes, "Oh shit, that's a big Inyala," and I'm like, "It is a big Inyala," you know, like
you're like it is big.
Because you don't really know.
Yeah,
until, like someone tells you.
Yeah. You know, when the guide tells you it's big, you're like, oh, God. And my heart's like, you know, and he's like, and he ranges, yeah, you know, it's 620, shit. Let's go over back by the truck. So we go over back by the truck thinking we're going to get closer, right? Mm-hmm. So he runs me through the thorny, shitty, tearing the crap out of me brush.
Yeah.
We get over there. No shot. Can't even see the animal. I'm like,
jeez.
Oh no, crap! You still hear the guy like 600-700 yards to our left yelling at his sheep, and we're like, crap! So we run back to the power line, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, that Inyala is still there,
Nice.
Still staring at you.
still staring at us. And I had my camera tripod, but I also had my another one of those tripods for shooting, right? Mm-hmm. So it splays out so I could shoot prone. And I was like, dude, it's you know, how far is it again? So I lay down, hits me on the shoulder, he goes 619, and I go, okay. So I pull my dope sheet out, and again I got the lighted, luckily, because it's kind of it's like right at dusk, and I dial. I don't remember how many minutes I dialed, but I have a dope sheet for for that scope. So crank that scope to however many minutes on the 300 PRC we're shooting. I lay down, and I'm like, but the wind's howling, dude. I mean, it's howling, and it's 619 yards. I'm in Africa. I've never shot an Inyala. It's the biggest Inyala I've ever seen, and it's literally like it's barely quartering to me, like barely quartering. It's a terrible shot. Like, it's a big animal, but it's dude, it's 619. It's a terrible shot.
Yeah,
but this is
rough.
the only shot I'm going to get. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, classic, because I got my dope sheets like 10 miles an hour wind. Is it 10 miles an hour? Do I got to convert to kilometers here? I don't know what's going on, you know, and I'm thinking like, shit. So I'm laid down, and then the pH is like, I lay it in the saddle on my tripod, and I'm prone, and he tries to he goes, let me climb. I was like, don't touch it. Don't touch anything, you know? And he's like, okay, you got it. And I'm like, trust me. And so I dial my dope, I get in there, I adjust my parallax, I'm on this, and I'm just like, I got this. And I squeeze that Timney, dude, and freaking send that 220 burger 619 yards. And it was probably a 12-mile-an-hour wind, because it pushed my bullet another 2 inches. And that freaking bullet hit this Inyala and sounded like two pieces of freaking 4x8 sheets of plywood hitting. It was the loudest, dude. I heard it so loud in my ear at a third of a mile away.
And you're like, he's done.
And it literally, I didn't even see it, you know, because of recoil, you know, and I didn't even see the bullet impact. And I look at my pH and I go, he's dead.
And you didn't see it. You didn't even drop
see
or
it.
nothing.
I heard it. I was like, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, the shot felt so good, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and I haven't even shot, you know, well, we all haven't shot our guns that much, right?
No, not
because
very
I
much.
brought the guns that we built, right?
Not nearly as much as you have.
Yeah.
And just, dude, freaking hammered this thing, front shoulder, just freaking, right? So we go up, long story short, he went like 19 yards and died. Yeah.
And that was a big Inyala.
Oh, dude, it was a smasher. Like he's like, my pH is like, you'll never shoot an Inyala bigger than this.
Really?
No matter how many times you come back. Like, good luck. You know, like he goes, this is, and you know, like he goes, I don't think you understand what you just did. And I'm like, I made a good shot. You know, I know that.
The sounds of all the stories that you've been talking about, sounds like you did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Once in a lifetime.
Which we'll get to.
Yeah. So 619, I couldn't, the gun shot great. You know, the bullet, I'm probably going to change bullets, to be completely honest. Like, it didn't open up as fast as I typically like, but the bullet did well. You know, scope was critical. Dope was perfect. No complaints.
Yeah.
It was wild.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And how many animals did you shoot, like, long range there? Was that the only one?
So the longest shot I took was 619. I shot my croc at like 40 yards, dude.
40 yards?
Yeah. I shot my hippo at like 20.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was wild.
That sounds wild.
Yeah.
But that was with your 470.
That was with my
Express.
470, yeah. In the bush, and that was
20 yards?
Dude, it was scary as shit. I was like 5-6 minutes at 20 yards.
I think we should hear this story.
No, we're gonna save the hippo and the croc story. But I'll tell you what, if you've never been 20 yards from a croc, and it's dry land in the bush, we're not in the water, right? We're like, it's laying on the ground 20 yards from me, 4,000-pound animal that kills more people than anything in South Africa.
The hippo?
Dude, it was wild.
Yeah.
It's more dangerous than crocodiles.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
Way more dangerous.
It's if you look it up, if you don't believe us, Google most dangerous animals in the world, and hippo is like top 5.
Yeah. It's like
causes the most deaths.
in Africa, it's mosquitoes and then hippos.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they're very angry.
dude, it was super scary.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes.
I don't want to go to Africa.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When I got bit by mosquitoes, I was freaking
Black
out.
mambas.
Yeah.
Cobras.
Yeah.
Did you see any poisonous snakes when you were there?
No snakes. It was pretty cold while we were there.
Thank God. I hate snakes.
But there was some, I mean, like, there was some, it was pretty wild.
Would you shoot a snake if you saw one?
Dude, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, like a black mamba?
With a 470 Nitro Express at $15 a round.
What about a cobra?
Dude, all day.
100%.
Would you taxidermy a cobra?
100%.
Just like have it like coiled up like...
Dude, that was so the guy
Jafar.
the guy I went with.
You made a staff.
I went last time with the same guy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna let too much out of the bag right now. But the guy I went with, his name's Shaw LaRue. Great freaking guy. And his wife and his 2 kids were there, and it was like we had so much fun. But the problem that Shaw and I have, he's a little bit younger than me. But he's very much like me, where like we get a couple cocktails and we get ourselves in trouble, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, you want to go night hunt? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you want to life size that? And I'm like, yeah. And then he goes, how many animals do you have on your list? I'm like, a couple. And that turns into dozens and dozens and dozens. So he owns a taxidermy.
You might have to ask Chris personally how many it was. So the final tally.
I don't know if we'll say directly on the podcast.
Well,
directly.
Shaw owns Rosedale Safaris, but he also owns True Reflections Taxidermy Studio, which is a terrible thing for me because you guys know how I feel about taxidermy.
Yeah.
And so everything I shoot, you know, he's like, oh, we can life size that. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know,
we could do that.
yeah, okay. So
And their prices are probably a little bit more affordable than here.
it's crazy affordable there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I don't even know how much it's going to cost me. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm letting the cat out of the bag right now, folks.
Oh boy.
The hippo couch is coming.
Hippo couch.
It's a real thing. I talked my taxidermist into it. He's never done it before. But Shaw LaRue, True Reflections Taxidermy in South Africa, is making me a hippo couch. A life-size. He's going to life-size a hippo, life-size this gigantic 4,000-pound animal, and then carve out from head to tail a couch in one side. And it's going on my downstairs, and my wife is not going to divorce me. That was me knocking on wood for those of you not watching on YouTube.
I don't think she's too thrilled about it. But maybe she is. I don't know.
I got to there's a couch here to my left that you can't see, but imagine that couch being gone and there's a hippo couch
It
there.
will definitely be gone.
Dude.
Well, there's no way not to have it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We got to make room for the hippo couch, honey.
the old Wildlife Museum's getting quite the upgrade.
It's going to get an upgrade. Yeah. So that's as much as I'm going to talk about all that nonsense right now, because I do want to hear more about your bear hunt, and I want to hear about your bear hunt, and then I want to hear about your guys' fishing escapades.
My elk hunt that turned into a deer hunt.
Yeah.
And then I killed a bear, which was craziest.
All right, walk us through
weird
that story, Doug.
Yeah, because you went archery hunting, right?
Yeah, so it was opening day. Well, it wasn't opening day. It was opening weekend of elk hunting for archery. So, and it just so happens that during that same time, deer is open for archery, and bear is also open for any weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I had located a herd in a specific area the year before, and I thought I had this like perfectly set up, like it was going to be a no-brainer. But in the springtime, because of the area that I was hunting in, it's managed land by the government. It had been cleared out.
They slashed everything.
They slashed it and cut a bunch of the small timber and small brush out. So when I had gotten over there and I had talked to a local, he had said that the elk had migrated and it had changed the migration path for a lot of animals in that area. And I was like, oh, great, of course.
Yeah,
just my luck,
Right.
So I get in there, and I mean, sure enough, I mean, they had cut so much brush out of there that, I mean, the hunting is going to be absolutely amazing in there for deer. Because, I mean, it just is a shoot for all these deer to come down to the river, because I'm down by the river bottom. I hunted a couple days in my spot, didn't have any luck. There was one afternoon I decided to kind of switch it up, and I sat down by the river bottom because I found all these trails like converging to this one spot where the river like opens up and it's nice and wide and it's really easy to get to. And sure enough, I had six deer probably almost walk on top of me.
Wow.
That night. I had a doe probably get within a fawn get within about 5 feet of me.
Holy crap.
Well, this isn't any deer unit, though. Isn't it, for archery?
Douglas.
No.
You should have shot a doe.
No. This unit is not. No. And no, I'm not going to shoot a doe. It was crazy because I had all these, and the mom was like got right up behind me, and I had never seen a doe get the biggest like eyeballs and nostrils like at the same time looking at me, just trying to figure out what I was.
Yeah.
And nothing spooked once.
Really?
And I'm like, I can smell myself. I don't know what's going on. I guess I must have tuned up the
maybe
scent
they're
in
used
there.
to used to smelling people down in the valley.
I don't.
something.
Yeah, and I
stomp? Like they didn't do the doe stomp? Or
no, nothing.
Really?
Didn't get any snorts. Nothing.
Wow.
They just nostrils got as big as their eyeballs. Basically,
Dude.
I thought they were just gonna start freaking out, but nothing happened. They just wandered on. I actually had one jump in the river in front of me, swim across the river. I was like, huh, that's pretty cool. It didn't even go across like the shallow part, right? Just jumped right in the deep part and swam through the deep part and went over to the other side.
Huh.
And I was like, huh, okay, that's
pretty cool.
Good to know. And my hunch from all these trails that converged onto this main trail that I was using to get in there, it paid off because, I mean, it was like a main travel path down to the river. And it was, early September, so that's kind of what their pattern is. They're going down to the river and get water, and then they go out into the field.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. It was probably, was it Monday or Tuesday? I think it was Monday. So, it was like my third day, and I'd seen a bunch of deer, saw a bunch of big bucks, but just they were either on private or it was like after dark. I had one that was right in the middle of the road, like just after
Really?
just after shooting light. I was like, damn it.
Classic.
So I was walking in to go to my tree stand in the morning in the dark, and I get to the spot where there's deep drainage on one side, and then it comes up, and then the river bottom's on the, just right there. The river is like 50 yards from the trail I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this loud crash like down in this drainage, and I'm like, what the hell? And I can't see anything. All I can see is like what's in the light of my headlamp, because it's like dark. Like it's probably 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so this is like
so you walked in from the trail with the headlamp.
Yeah, with the headlamp, because it's dark.
Okay.
So, and then I look down and I see a bear because it's louder and shit, and I'm like, oh boy. So I pull my revolver out, right? Because I'm like, oh boy, I'm about to wax this bear in like the pitch black.
Right.
Except for I can barely see anything. I could it just moved up to where I could like see like the outline and its eyeballs. Right?
And
that's how dark it is. Like even with my headlamp on, I can still barely see it.
It's going to eat you, dude.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, it's trying to like get away, and then I see it like lay down, and I'm like, what the hell is this bear doing? This is like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like normally I would have figured this bear would have just been gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes and it lays down, and I'm like, okay, so I'm still waiting. I put my revolver up, and I'm like trying to see if I can see like down my sights to see if I could even like maybe take a shot if I had to.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, there's no way this is gonna happen. I mean, the bear's like 50 yards away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. I watch it a little bit more, and I'm just kind of standing there, and it kind of gets over to a tree, and it tries to start climbing up a tree, and I'm like, what? It's like all slow motion too. Like the bear's getting over to the spot, and it lays down really slow. It crawls over to a tree and does it really slow. It tries to go up the tree, but it doesn't get off the ground. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's so dark.
You're just like,
I'm just like, this bear is just like messing up my morning
Doug's
hunt.
like, I shouldn't have ate those mushrooms before.
Right? So I'm like, okay. Then I heard like a loud crash, and I thought like the bear just kind of ran off. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go to my tree stand. I'm not going to sit here and wait until light with this bear, because who knows, it's probably gone.
Yeah.
So I go and I sit in my tree stand. Nothing came out. I'm hearing splishy splashy in the river because it's not that far away from everything that's crossing it, but I can't see it.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm having a good old time. 7 o'clock comes around. I'm like, screw this. I'm getting out of this tree stand. This ain't going to work. Because, I mean, I had sat there and I had movement behind me in a kind of different spot, and I basically had learned that I'd put my tree stand in the wrong spot. But I had learned where to put it.
Did anyone tell you should move your tree stand to that area?
Saw that one coming a mile away.
So I get out of the tree stand, and I go, all right, let's creep back and see if anything's over where I saw that bear. So I start working back over to where I seen that bear across the hillside, not from the trail. And sure as shit, that bear is still in that same spot.
What?
Yeah.
In the same spot.
Same spot. Never left. And
Wow.
I'm sitting there scratching my head. I'm like, okay, now I got my bow and I got a revolver. I'm like, okay, I got to get closer. I'm probably 100 yards from it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I got to try and make a stalk. I'm sure this bear has already seen me because it's like wide open other than like big timber.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to like keep like big trees like in between me and this bear. Right?
I can hear the.
It's drier than shit. Yeah, super dry.
Yeah.
Trying to be quiet, not happening. And the bear didn't move. And I'm like, what the hell? So I kept watching it, and I tried to keep getting closer and closer, and then it would like crawl a little bit. So that's when I finally was like, okay, something's definitely wrong with this bear. So anywho, I finally got close enough to where the bear like finally was trying to get away from me, because I was like, I got to figure out what's wrong with this bear. It's not running off.
Right.
It's not shooting it. He's like, I got to figure out what's wrong with it. What do you?
Well, I want to get close enough to it, to make a shot.
How close are you at this point?
I mean, I finally got within like 50 yards before I finally figured out that this bear was like messed up.
Okay.
So by the time I figured that out, I'm like, okay, I'm just not even going to try and stalk. I'm just literally going to run. So I literally run over to where I get within about 30 yards, and I'd finally seen that this bear was dragging its hind legs on the ground.
Huh.
It wasn't running. It was crawling from me the whole time. So I shoot it with my bow at 30 yards.
Right.
And it does a roll, and it falls over behind this little brush pile. And I'm pretty sure I double lunged it on that first shot, and it went through one of the shoulders. And it never moved, but it just did not want to die.
Huh.
The bear did not want to die.
Well, I mean, bears are pretty tough.
They're freaking tough.
Especially
so it sat. So I got closer. The bear knew I was there at this point. It's popping its jaws at me and this and that.
Right.
Doug has a video of this, by the way. You should watch it. It's pretty crazy.
Dude.
Yeah. And then finally it got to the point where it was like, well, this thing it doesn't want to lay down and die. I'm like, just lay down.
Yeah.
Just lay down. Doesn't want to do it. So I eventually stuck another arrow through it.
What handgun do you got?
460.
Oh shit! Yeah, arrow for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Well, at that point, like you're already
it's
committed to an archery kill.
It's already a dead bear.
Right.
Yeah.
I want meat. I don't want to blow a hole in this bear. You know what I mean? So okay, I'm like, all right, I'll just stick another arrow in it. Stuck an arrow in it. It did a backflip and rolled over, and it was done. Like, it must have been so full of blood in his chest cavity that as soon as it flipped over,
just vacated.
It was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Got over to it and basically had thought about what had happened or what could have happened, but I think the bear was paralyzed from falling out of a hawthorn tree down by the river.
Yeah,
because
we went back and forth.
We went back and forth because not only was it dragging its hind legs, it didn't have any rub off on its belly or on its legs. It didn't have any muscle atrophy in its hind legs. Mm-hmm. There was all the fat was still there on its hind end.
It just happened.
So it
had to have just happened.
Literally must have just happened that night as I was walking in. And he made it about 50 yards from the river.
Because even if
bottom.
it had been like a couple days, he would have already rubbed
all the hair would have been
hair.
gone.
Yeah,
there was not a single piece of fur gone.
Wow.
Huh.
So, yeah.
It must have happened that night.
I killed a paralyzed bear.
Dude, hey, you know what, Doug? Good for you, dude. Because let's be honest, dude.
You did him a big favor.
If I'm paralyzed,
that bear was so messed up. I mean,
I don't want to live through that, dude. If I'm dragging around, if I'm a bear in the woods and I'm broken half, like, you're gonna die.
I felt bad for the bear. Like I had to do my. I had to do. You know.
I mean, it's
the stewardship. And put that bear out of its misery.
It's two birds with one stone. You're taking out an animal that needs to be taken out, but at the same time, you get to shoot a bear that's easy to get.
And perfect timing too, because like you still get like all that delicious meat, and like it hasn't been atrophied, and you still get
100%. Yeah.
It had to have been just.
There was no bruising on the meat, like no sign of like it getting hit by a car. Like, as we went back, and I went back and forth with Jim, like thinking, what could it have been? It could have been like an old wound.
Right.
Could have been hit by a car.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't near any of the roads.
Huh.
It didn't have any like bullet wounds or anything.
Right.
There wasn't any like scarring tissue on the meat or nothing like that.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could have thought of was either that maybe that someone had shot it and like paralyzed its rear end, but Doug didn't find any bullet holes or like wounds or anything. So it had to have been, because they will climb those hawthorn trees to the very tippy top.
Oh yeah, I can imagine,
I've seen them break them off.
Right.
And where I was, the river bottom was like steep at the river and big rocks.
Well, you land on a rock, dude.
Yeah, he's probably climbing up like, oh, I need to get this hawthorn berry.
Yeah.
Gets up to the top
snaps.
And falls back and probably landed on one of those big giant rocks and bam.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot to crush a vertebrae.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me.
So I had a gift from God, I guess. After hunting my ass off for about 4 years over there and not having any luck. And then you go over there to go elk hunting, and then it turns into a deer hunt because there's deer all over the friggin' place.
Yeah.
And then, here's a bear that's paralyzed. You better do us a good service. Put it out of its misery.
That was awesome, though.
I'm PB and jelly, Doug, so I haven't even had a chance to get out and go bear hunting this year. So,
Yeah.
And to top that, it was only 10 yards from this flat, nice, easy walking trail that I came in on. So I literally just picked it up, walked it down to the trail, zipped it open, did my business, threw it on a cart, and back to my truck.
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
How far
awesome.
was it from the truck, do you think? Half a mile? Quarter mile?
Like
10 miles, Doug. Say 10 miles.
300 yards, probably.
Doug, no. You're supposed to. It's a. They don't know. You say. Yeah, it was 30 miles.
It was 25 miles.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah.
No,
And there
that's
was
awesome.
there was another really big bear in there that I had eventually had ran into the local guy that had lived basically right down where I was like parking basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into him a couple times. And he's like, "Oh, did you see that really big bear?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, you should have been hunting in your truck. There was a bear that came and basically pissed on your tire this morning."
Oh,
my
you're
God.
kidding me.
Yeah, so the first morning I was in there, I ran into the guy on the way out. He's like, "Are you bear hunting?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, you should have been hunting in your truck. Came walking down the road and this bear came running across the road right in front of your truck." I'm like, "You gotta be shitting me."
Dude, that's the way it works, dude. Every time. Every time.
There is some big bears down in there.
He says there's a really, really big one in there. He was like telling me like the hind end was like this.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I hope I see him." He's like, "I hope you see him too." He told me that he didn't want to shoot it because he didn't want to butcher it. That's how big it is.
That's a classic old guy statement, by the
Yeah.
way.
It is.
Too
It's
much work.
like,
Too
yeah.
much work.
That
I don't wanna
that guy
deal with
is
that
late
greasy
60s
bear.
or older, guaranteed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
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 I don't want to deal with that greasy bear.
Cool guy. Super cool guy. I thought he was going to be like, "Hey, get out of here." But no. He told me he was a hunter and
Huh.
told me kind of the gist of what was kind of going on and what kind of happened with the animal movement
Huh.
because of all that clearing that went on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be good.
Hopefully the elk and deer kind of get back on track over there, and maybe that'll be a good spot for years to come.
Yeah. Late season's going to be really good over there this year.
Well, Doug's on the board.
Yep. Doug's the only one of us to kill a fall bear this year.
What do you know, guys?
I mean,
Would you ever have thought that?
it's kind of funny because like this year's been a rough year for a lot of guys for fall bear. A few people have killed bears, but it's not as good as it has been in the past.
The
Granted, I haven't got
summer
to
was
go.
definitely weird. Like the berries seemed like, I don't know how to say. I don't know if they were early.
And
But
they were early in some areas. They just kind of just didn't show up in other areas, and they kind of burned out early.
they
in some
burned
other
out
areas.
super early.
Yeah, I think it was the snowpack in a lot of the eastern Washington regions, which wasn't there, so everything dried out really fast, and they just kind of petered out. And
Well, you shot a spring bear.
I
You
shot a spring bear.
You shot a fall bear. I shot no bear. So,
Well, you made up for it on your last trip.
You did. You went to Africa and you smashed some animals. So.
I did, but, and this is a big but. I have, I don't know when this is going to come out, but I do have a tag for Alaska. I got drawn for a bear hunt there, black bear.
Which is like going on now, right?
Yeah, and I should have been there a month ago when it opened, but I may be able to go in 2 weeks. May. It's a big maybe.
I think you should.
It's a
you should do
big
it.
maybe. So I have some calls into a couple buddies of mine that know some guys in that area, so we'll see. It might happen.
I think
Maybe.
I think it will.
Maybe. It's a big maybe.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
It'd be a legend, Chris.
Dude, it would be.
Chris the legend.
Yep.
be
And
so
me and
good.
Doug got a hunt coming up, so maybe there's still time. There's still time
Yeah.
for us shoot another bear. Doug
we're gonna go into a spot where there's been a lot of bears, a lot of bear problems too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys going eastern or western Washington?
Eastern
Washington. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually been a couple of attacks near the area that we're going from bears.
That sounds promising.
No, there was a bear attack earlier this year in this exact area that we're going to.
Really?
A black bear. Yeah. Oh. I think that black bear's dead, so our chances of getting him are... Well, they killed him, so...
Oh, yeah.
The news said.
I guess they actually did kill him.
You know.
But we still got a chance to maybe get another fall bear on the board.
Yeah, especially with the time of year, because we're going over elk hunting, if we're out there blowing elk calls all the time, we never know.
Yeah.
There might be a bear coming in.
Or a cougar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lions over there, too.
Yeah.
I'd love to shoot a lion.
Dude.
We're going to let anything have it, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a whole story about that, too, by the way.
About lions?
Yeah, about here. I had a guy in the gun shop talking lions the other day.
Really?
Big lion hunter, yeah. Ooh.
Big lion hunter?
Big lion hunter, yeah. In Washington.
Really?
Yeah. Non-dog guy, right?
Really?
Yeah.
What does this guy like to do?
So he's a big e-scouter, younger guy, younger than us,
Okay.
When I say us, that's a broad stroke with Douglas sitting across from me. But younger than Doug, and he I think he's got him pretty dialed.
Really?
Got him pretty dialed, yeah.
Does he kill a lot of lions?
I think he's killed more lions than me, which is 0 for me. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's good buddies with our taxidermist.
Okay.
Who's killed 4 or 5 mountain lions in the state?
Gosh.
In the past 5 years. So he's doing pretty good. He's killed a lion almost every year. So yeah.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be the more you're out. I feel like the more you're out in the woods, the better chance you have of getting a lion.
Yeah.
Like if you spend a lot of time in the woods, chances are you're going to cross paths eventually.
I don't know, dude. I spent a lot of time in the woods.
I feel that way all the time, because especially where we, grew up hunting as kids.
Yeah.
We've seen pictures of these giant toms in
Mm-hmm.
that area, and they go, how have we never seen a cat?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them a couple times. I've had some run-ins with them, but, you don't see them very often. Like, it's so rare.
Yeah, it's super rare, dude.
They're super smart, but it seems like all these guys always just happenstance into them. Oh, no, I start just walking around and there's this lion.
I think because we're getting...
That never happens to me.
Yeah, we're getting so many now, though.
Yeah.
It's like...
I think it's becoming more and more popular, where guys just run into them.
Yeah. It's in my backyard.
It's in my backyard.
That's bad.
Or it grabbed my cat.
It's
or it
getting
grabbed
out
my
of control.
dog.
Yeah.
It is getting out of control in a lot of areas.
So we've been going at this podcast here for a little bit. So let's bring up some current events and some stuff that we got coming up here, Jim.
So I did want to hit on, we are going to be doing a seminar for a new sportsman show. Chris is showing me here.
Yep.
So
He doesn't need glasses.
We are going to be doing a seminar for bear hunting.
Go on the internet, and
we're on the internet.
The North Sound Sportsman Show.
NorthSoundSportsmanShow.com is the website for this sportsman show. So this is pretty cool. So we haven't had a North Sportsman Show up in Western Washington in a long time. It's always down at in Puyallup.
Yeah.
They used to have them at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds a few times.
Yeah.
But this is going to be in Skagit County,
which is pretty legit.
At the Skagit County Fairgrounds.
Pretty jazzed about it.
Yeah. So it's going to be just like the regular sportsman shows that like people are used to down in Puyallup and stuff.
Yeah.
This is the North Sound Sportsman Show, and we are going to be doing a seminar on 2 days during that time period, which is Saturday, March 15th, and this is 2025. We're going to be doing a spring and fall bear hunting seminar on Saturday, March 15th and Sunday, March 16th at, apparently, I didn't know these times because I didn't really pick a time, but apparently we're doing it 12:30 to 1:15 on Saturday, and we are going to be doing it 11:30 to 12:15 on Sunday. So mark your calendars, guys and gals, for the North Sound Sportsman Show. It's going to be epic.
At least it's not ass crack in the morning.
Right. Like, we got the prime time,
Yeah,
okay?
you got the prime time.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be all ready to eat some food.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just excited to have a sportsman show where I don't have to drive 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
It's going to be really nice. I'm super excited.
I bet you there's going to be a lot more people there.
I think so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all these guys that live up here, there's a lot of sportsmen up in like Skagit.
Yeah, that
Whatcom.
don't even want to go down
Whatcom County,
south.
yeah.
And that's just, it's too far. Like, when I was younger, I used to go to them a lot down in Puyallup, but anymore, it's like, I don't want to drive all the way to Puyallup.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice to have one close to home. And apparently we're going to be doing seminars. So come check us out and learn some stuff about bear hunting.
Be awesome.
And Doug will tell you where the bears are, where you find them.
The bears are where you find them.
They really are where you find them.
Yeah, on the ground.
Doug's
Paralyzed.
like, you just got
They fall out of trees.
you just got to find one that fell out of a tree recently. They can't even run away from you very fast.
Oh, man.
What are the chances of that?
I feel very blessed.
You know, I would like to hear if anyone out there has a story similar of
I would
another
love
one.
to hear a story.
Like, let us know, because I don't think I've ever heard of that kind of a story happening.
It's just such a wild thing. I'm like, I was so blown. I was like, did this really just happen? Like, this bear cannot get away from me. Like, I probably could have ran up to it and just stabbed it, basically.
Like the hog hunters in the south. Just stick it. Oh my gosh. You would have been a legend.
Oh, dude.
Such a
Just put it in a headlock, Doug.
Right?
Jeez. That would be wild. Doug's just tore to shit. Those front legs are pretty powerful.
oh man, yeah. It was popping his jaws at me. I was really worried.
Do we have anything else going on news-wise that we need to touch on?
We do have some Sportsman's Alliance stuff coming up, but we don't have the final details yet. I will have a call with them this week, but that's going to be. By the way, I drove some guys on the internet's nuts. I'm not a cliffhanger kind of guy, you know. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not just a tip, you know, kind of guy. But I give them just a tip, and some of them didn't like it. So.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to be just a tip right now. There's some big news coming up from Sportsman's Alliance coming up soon. Bear Country Outdoors, as most of you guys know, we have been very involved with the fight against our state to get our hunting rights back. Mm-hmm. Sportsman's Alliance has helped us tremendously. We had a lawsuit with Lorna Smith. We have a couple more coming up. But the news that we have is, I think, it's incredibly beneficial to most sportsmen, all sportsmen in Washington, I think, and across the United States, to be completely honest. So it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. I'm super excited.
Well, I'm excited to hear about it.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Are we going to hear about it, or are we just going to talk about it?
We're just going to talk about it right
We're just gonna talk about it.
That's why you said just a tip.
Just a tip.
Okay. All right. Well, you had me there.
Doug. Doug's like, okay, what's
tell me
happening?
more.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you're going to have to come back for the next
It's not our
podcast,
story
guys.
to break.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah, no, it's Sportsman's Alliance story, but we're gonna be a part of it. Bear Country
good.
Outdoors is gonna be a part of it.
Good
So
stuff in the works.
yeah, it's pretty
For
exciting
all the
stuff.
outdoorsmen out there.
Yeah,
Looking forward to that.
On another note, anyone and everyone who is into hunting or listening to our podcast, I suggest you go watch the new film from Blood Origins, Lionheart.
Ooh, so good.
Dude, it was good. Did you watch the whole thing?
So no, I watched like half of it on the plane.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was a smoker.
yeah.
And like really an eye opener for those people who don't understand hound hunting, and which all of you guys and gals who are on the internets know probably about what's going on in Colorado.
I think it's perfect timing for Colorado.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
It had to have been like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if he was planning on releasing that film as quickly as he did.
Strong work, Robbie.
But he I think he felt the pressure to get it out there before the election.
Yeah.
And before this proposition goes
You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should do like a viewing here.
Of Lionheart?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
We should.
Like a special...
a special, like, VIP. Super cool guy.
We could do it as like a fundraiser, maybe.
Ooh.
Like buy a VIP ticket,
Yeah.
and it's going directly to Blood Origins.
Yeah.
Who
and you get unlimited drinks.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If you guys are interested in something like that, why don't you drop us some comments, and we'll figure out if we do So I have a 10-seat theater here, and we could do like a VIP showing. We got a 120-something inch screen. I just upgraded all the equipment. We're 4K now. It's legit.
Yeah, and we could
Theater's pretty dope, guys.
if that's something that people would want to do, we could do it.
Let us know. If you haven't met Robbie, he's awesome. Super handsome, tall, fast, athletic.
Oh boy. Wrap it up, Chris.
And it's a hell of a film, let's be honest. It
was really good.
Yeah. And if you don't like loud sounds, do not comment, because my theater's super duper loud. Dude, it's so loud. I love it.
I can only imagine watching Godzilla in your movie theater there, Chris.
Dude, it's so loud. And the bass.
Yeah. Especially that movie. Speaking of clips, the spring hunt is going to be coming out here pretty shortly.
Oh, yeah, you've been working on that. Tell me about that, Doug.
It's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah?
Doug's done, right?
Yeah.
Minus, we're waiting on a couple of...
Yeah, I'm just waiting on a couple of copyright things, and I'm having it re-reviewed by YouTube because they're lame.
What a pain in the butt, dude.
To make sure that we get the full monetization.
Well, Doug's been doing a great job.
But either way, it doesn't matter.
It's going to be a great film. I'm really excited. How long is that one?
It's about 34 minutes long.
34 minutes, folks.
Okay.
Lunch break stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
It's a good... I liked it.
I think it's really good
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good YouTube video.
I fail miserably, so I think you guys should watch it. It'll make you happy. It's going to be good.
Chris keeps it colorful.
You know.
I tried to make the camera work as good as it could be.
Yep. No, Doug did a good job.
I think you did it. Yeah, I think it was really good.
So that one, be on the lookout. That might be out by the time you guys hear this. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
It could be out as soon
Could
as
be
this
out
week.
before this comes out. Who
Yeah.
knows?
So keep an eye out on YouTube.
If it's not out, just keep a lookout. And if it is out, it's going to be Quinault Bear Hunt, spring 2024.
2024, yeah. Good stuff.
On the old Bear Country YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
All right.
Anything else?
I think that pretty much.
I think that pretty much
sums
covers
it up.
it. I mean, we got a lot more that we could talk about, but we pretty much filled up a time.
Yeah.
We'll have to stretch this out over the next.
We could probably go another couple hours, but
I have probably about 10 hours of Africa stuff I want to talk about.
Yep.
Guys, if you can imagine how many animals I shot in Africa, you can't imagine how many animals I shot in Africa.
Exactly.
And I got some stories. Holy shit. And I will have my dad on. And he will tell old Papa Ron will tell some stories, and it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a hoot.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Stay with us until next time, and until next time, stay humble and hunt hard.